What you're about to hear in the next 10 minutes will change the way you read every bag of dog food for the rest of your life. I'm going to show you why the most trusted phrase in the pet food aisle, Veterinarian Recommended, is a marketing illusion. I'm going to name the toxic ingredients hiding behind that label, the corporate machinery that put them there, and what you should be feeding your dog instead. And I'm going to tell you about a dog named Chester who almost didn't survive the brand his owner trusted most. 2 years ago, a man named David carried his bulldog into my clinic on a Tuesday afternoon. Chester was 11. He hadn't eaten in 4 days. His gums were the color of wet paper. When I pressed on his abdomen, I could feel his kidneys, both of them enlarged, both of them failing. David was calm, too calm. He told me he'd been feeding Chester the same food for 9 years, a prescription brand, recommended by his previous vet, bought directly from the clinic lobby. He said it like it was a shield, like the words Veterinarian Recommended on that bag meant nothing could go wrong, but something had gone wrong, slowly, silently, for years. And here's what haunts me about Chester's case. David did everything he was told to do. He followed every instruction, he trusted the label, and that label failed him. Because the phrase Veterinarian Recommended on a bag of dog food is not a medical certification. It's not a safety guarantee. It's a marketing claim. And understanding the difference might be the most important thing you ever learn about feeding your dog. Let me explain what's actually happening behind that phrase. Because once you see the machinery, you can't unsee it. The pet food industry in the United States is dominated by 3 corporate conglomerates, Mars, Nestlé Purina, and J.M. Smucker, which owns Hills. Together, they control roughly 70% of the market. These are not small family companies making food in a farmhouse kitchen. These are multinational corporations with shareholders, quarterly earnings targets, and marketing budgets measured in billions. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. These same companies fund a significant portion of veterinary nutrition education. Many veterinary schools do not have a full-time, board-certified nutritionist on staff. Students often receive fewer than 40 hours of dedicated nutrition training across 4 entire years of school. And a measurable portion of that training has historically been sponsored by the very companies whose products end up on clinic shelves. I'm not saying your vet is corrupt. I need you to hear that clearly. Your vet loves animals. Your vet went into this profession for the same reason I did, because they couldn't imagine doing anything else. But the system around them is designed to make certain brands feel like the default. Free samples arrive at the clinic. Sponsored seminars carry continuing education credits. And when a pet owner asks, "What should I feed my dog?" the answer that comes to mind first is the brand that's been in the room the longest. And here's the part most people never learn. The organization that defines what can go on a pet food label, AAFCO, the Association of American Feed Control Officials, does not test, approve, or certify any pet food. 0%. They set definitions. They write the rules for what words mean on a label. But nobody is standing at the factory door checking what goes into the bag. The phrase Veterinarian Recommended has no regulatory standard behind it. Any company can print it, and they do. I've spent 22 years in veterinary internal medicine. I've treated thousands of dogs with kidney disease, liver failure, chronic inflammation, diabetes. And the question that follows me home from the clinic is always the same. How did it get this far? How did a dog eat the same food every day for a decade under veterinary guidance and still end up on my table with organs that are shutting down? The answer is in the ingredients. Let me walk you through what I find when I flip over the bags that families like David's have been trusting for years. And I want you to think about your own dog's food while I do this, because the chances are high that at least one of these is in your pantry right now. The first thing that hides in plain sight is the preservative system. BHA, BHT, and a compound called ethoxyquin. These are synthetic chemical preservatives used to give the fat in dry kibble a shelf life measured in years. BHA is classified by the National Institutes of Health as reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen, based on studies showing stomach tumors in lab animals. Ethoxyquin was originally developed as a pesticide. These compounds are banned in human food across much of the European Union and Japan, but they are currently permitted by the FDA in American pet food in what regulators call low doses. The problem is that low doses add up. Every single day, twice a day, for 10 or 12 years, your dog's liver processes every molecule, and over time, the cumulative load is staggering. The safe alternative exists and costs the same. Foods preserved with mixed tocopherols, which is simply vitamin E, or rosemary extract. Check the label. If you see BHA, BHT, or ethoxyquin, put the bag down. The second thing I look for is what the protein source actually is. When a label says meat meal or meat and bone meal without naming the species, that's a rendered product. Because the animal isn't named, the source material can legally include what the industry calls 4D animals, dead, dying, diseased, or disabled livestock thrown into a rendering vat. The high-heat rendering process creates compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. A study published in the Journal of Animal Physiology and Animal Nutrition found that commercial dry pet foods contain up to 122 times more AGEs than human diets. These compounds damage kidneys. They drive diabetes. They accelerate joint degeneration. The fix is straightforward. Look for a named protein source. Chicken meal or beef meal tells you the species. Meat meal tells you nothing. And that ambiguity is by design. And then there are the artificial colors. Red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 2. These are linked to allergies, behavioral issues, and potential carcinogenic effects. But here's what makes this one particularly insulting. Dogs are functionally red-green colorblind. The dyes aren't for your dog. They're for you. They're engineered to make kibble look like it contains fresh meat and vegetables when it doesn't. If your dog's food is multicolored, those colors are a lie printed in chemistry. The natural color of kibble is brown. Uniform, unexciting brown, and that's what honest food looks like. Now, before I tell you what to do about all of this, and this is the part that matters most, I want to mention something briefly. I've put together a complete guide that goes deeper than any single video allows. Every ingredient to avoid, every label trick to recognize, and a practical framework for upgrading your dog's nutrition at any budget. The link is in the description. Because what I really need you to understand is this: you have options that the pet food aisle doesn't want you to notice. The single most impactful change you can make is shifting even a portion of your dog's diet toward real, whole food. A study by the Association for Pet Obesity Prevention found that 59% of dogs in the United States are overweight or obese, driven largely by high-carbohydrate, heavily processed commercial diets. Your dog's biology was not designed for a lifetime of ultra-processed food any more than yours was. You don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Start with 25%. Replace a quarter of your dog's dry kibble with fresh, dog-safe whole food. Steamed broccoli, plain cooked chicken, canned sardines in water with no added salt, which, by the way, are one of the best natural sources of omega-3 fatty acids your dog can eat. For a medium-sized dog, that's 500 to 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA daily. That single addition helps suppress the inflammatory cytokines that processed kibble drives up. If you want to go further, look for gently cooked or freeze-dried foods where a named meat is the first two ingredients, and the word human grade appears on the packaging. Because unlike premium or gourmet, human grade is a legally enforceable FDA term, and add curcumin, the active compound in turmeric. It's a potent antioxidant that inhibits the same inflammatory enzyme, COX2, that prescription NSAIDs target, but without the liver and kidney damage. For a medium dog, 500 milligrams daily, mixed with a small amount of coconut oil or black pepper extract to aid absorption. Give it 3 weeks. Watch what changes. I want to tell you what happened with Chester. David made the changes. Not all at once. He started with the sardines and the bowl switch. Within 6 weeks, Chester's kidney values stabilized. They didn't reverse. The damage was real, but they stopped getting worse. 3 months later, David sent me a photo. Chester was lying on a porch in the sun, one ear flopped over, drooling on a blanket. Not a miracle. Just a dog who got a chance his food almost took away from him. David said something to me on the phone that day. He said, "I trusted that label for 9 years. Why didn't anyone tell me to flip the bag over?" I hear that sentence more often than I should. 59% of dogs are overweight. 70% of the market is controlled by 3 companies. 0% of pet food is tested or certified by AAFCO. And in 2019, Hills, one of the most heavily veterinarian recommended brands on the planet, recalled millions of cans of food because of toxic vitamin D levels that caused kidney failure and killed dogs across the country. A vet-recommended label did not prevent that. Information would have. So flip the bag over tonight. Read what's in it. Look for BHA, BHT, ethoxyquin. Look for unnamed meat meals. Look for artificial dyes that exist only to fool you. And if you find them, know that better options exist at every price point. Add a sardine, add some broccoli, replace the plastic bowl with stainless steel. The people whose dogs live longer and healthier are not luckier. They are more informed. That is the only difference. And before changing anything, diet, supplements, routine, talk to your vet first. They know your dog's history better than any video can. Bring them better questions and they will give you better answers. That's how this works.